Aligning to my geometry, masks, personas, bare, naked, and free. Masks off. A few weeks ago, I was packing to go for a week down to Bogota, where the average temperature is 15 degrees Celsius, around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And since I moved to Miami Beach, my average temperature is 26 degrees Celsius, around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. When I was choosing what to pack and wear in the colder weather, I paused in surprise and asked, "Whose are these garments? Who is the person wearing these clothes?" Oh my God. I could not recognize the now Monika with the Monika that I left in New York City and spent 27 winters there. So the persona I had embodied was no longer vibrating at the same frequency now after 33 months, almost 3 years. And that brought a huge smile to my face. Evolution means growth to maturity and development of an individual living thing, also felt as detachment, a growing out, a growing up, a letting go, innovating, mutating. A mask worn by an actor in the Roman theater was a persona, the dramatis persona being literally the mask wearer of the drama. Also, it is the modern derivation of personality, persona, and it is what one wears in public life and identifies with, or it is defined by socially. How many personas have I consciously left behind, shed, and disembodied so drastically and even times smoothly and less violently? 2, 3, 4? Does it have anything to do with celestial alignments? Sine wave oscillations that meet again and again, such as Saturn returns every 28.5 years, or lunar nodes returning and passing through specific angles every 18.5 years. Fractions of that, perhaps. Well, I would like to feel that these geometric events that happen as harmonious or not so harmonious serve as validators and reminders of what surrendering to my geometry is. Math is a dialect of the universe. The last lunar eclipse was very potent. The cycle of the last 18.61295 years, or 6,798.383 days, completed yet again another revolution in my chart. What did I release? The mask I had to wear just to be, or I thought I needed to be. Gabor Mate calls these behaviors adaptations. At times one has to adapt to the environment because one does not feel safe and is lacking a connection to one's essential needs. So one trades this connection for validation as a way to survive what is. Thus, there is no authenticity. One is acting out, wearing a mask, a persona. The deal is to start recognizing the adaptations and to work with them as one changes the ideas held behind that make their behavior endure. Changing a point of view, for instance, is an incredible event that supports evolution. The persona is what we would like to be and how we wish to be seen by the world. It is our psychological clothing, and it mediates between our true selves and our environment, just as our physical clothing presents an image to those we meet. The ego is what we are and know about consciously. The shadow is that part of us that we fail to see or know. Robert A. Johnson, Owning Your Own Shadow, Understanding the Dark Side of the Psyche. On November 8, 2022, there was a lunar eclipse, a full moon, at 16 degrees of Taurus, Scorpio axis. Uranus was between the moon and the north node opposing my Neptune. The nodes were at 13 degrees at the same axis. The dissolution of multiple personas I had worn started to be felt, and by May 5th, 2023, 170 days later, the lunar eclipse opened again another portal between my natal moon at 12 degrees 18 minutes Scorpio. I just learned that it aligns with Alphika, a fixed star, and my natal Neptune at 16 degrees Scorpio. This time the full moon was at 15 degrees Scorpio. Both celestial bodies are each at one side of my 13 degrees Scorpio Metziel, MC, which refers to the public persona. It felt as if the last 9 months had been a preparation for a new platform I'm about to embark on. There is no defined shape, as I will work together with Jupiter entering Taurus and squaring Pluto. This is an opportunity for the collective to allow new views to shape new fields based on the now moment. Tradition is important, but as evolving species, we can't survive if all ideals become stagnant. The work I consciously started doing in 2017 is pretty integrated by now. Jupiter has gone around a fourth of its 12-year cycle around the sun, making sure to remind me to be open-minded. I can see it in my life, my face, my frame, my attitude. A friend in Bogota remarked about how different I look and behave. In essence, it is still me, with less baggage and more joie de vivre. If you see the drawing below, you'll find 4 cardinal points that refer to 4 aspects of one's journey. What drives it moment by moment is the ascendant. What gives it emotional security is the IC. The projection of the other is the beginning of a shadow work, as the synthesis is at the descendant. Last, the public persona one portrays in society is what we can find at the top of the sky, the MC. All social constructs demand humans to engage pursuing a social status, to aim for social recognition. But this is a huge misunderstanding. Humans are looking for validation and connection, not approval. Until this is not integrated, one becomes a slave to the outer authorities. Then there is a drawing with the definition of the midheaven and the IC and the ascendant and the descendant. The persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. This is Carl Jung concerning rebirth. It's a beautiful image of the Ace of Swords, and there's a little caption that reads, "Power comes with responsibility, pursuing the truth with integrity and being ready to open up my mind and keep expanding all perspectives." Authority, sovereignty, and freedom. No certification or accreditation given by someone else will ever define my experience on this earthly plane. I say the above with a humble heart. No teaching or teacher holds absolute power, for my path is made of practice and curiosity that I have been able somehow, in the most intense ways, to nurture and develop as one of my strengths. As a seeker and devotee of empirical practice, 3 years ago I left a stage that had become unsustainable. Masks and costumes could no longer hide the pain of not being authentic. In the liberation path, I let go one by one, external credit, acknowledgments, and found that my sense of value and authority comes from the inside. For artists who usually live off accolades, it is indeed a road uphill. Trust must be found within the divine. Creativity unfolds and emerges as a confirmation of harmony. I look for integrity, and as such, I am given opportunities to manifest large pieces of work that require time for research and production, many times inquiring about new technologies. I also thrive in engaging with the needs of the community. My creativity is multifaceted, and I can generate many faces and dimensions, for in each endeavor I commit 100%. Since I follow my bliss, I've been asked to leave groups I had lovingly cared for. I have left others I no longer feel connected to, and instead of filling the gap with noise, I let the sound of my frequency reverberate. There is grace in accepting what is. I have realized that the work in this lifetime is just to be me and only to be available to those who are already committed to themselves and value the energy I can generate in a caring manner. Otherwise, it will be like depleting the cauldron that is slowly cooking the nurturing elements. I also took a deep dive into understanding everything about the nature of my reality, how it operated mechanically and magically, and one amazing thing is how potent both sides of the spectrum are, the material and the spiritual and everything in between. Are you aware of your personas? Are you willingly working on aligning with your authority? How are you integrating the last 9 months? Imagination is the conduit. Suffering is fed with the imagination of the past, and the future is in the sweet sound of the now. I am not the typical artist slash astrologer slash human design reader slash teacher who generalizes. When I write, I base it on perceptual observations. When you meet me for a reading, I will meet you with an inquiry. When I facilitate my study groups, you will meet your observation skills and you will start trusting your geometry. The thought of the simplicity of the complexity of life has me very excited these days. Yes, read it again. The simplicity of the complexity. The uniqueness and singularity are yours only for you to be and to be experienced. The mysticism of the ancestors is not to be revealed all at once, for no appreciation can occur. This must be lived and integrated into the journey, into the way, into the Tao. For the secrets belong to you, my dear friend. In your sovereignty, you discover each pebble that makes the road of a beautiful path to walk on. You will never get a paper from me validating you. You will be seen and appreciated with my presence if you also commit to your journey. On May 19th, the sun and the moon will meet at 28 degrees of Taurus at gate 8. The Earth will be in gate 14. Mars will be opposing Pluto in late Cancer while creating a sextile to the new moon. A few hours before it enters Leo, also creating a T-square with Jupiter that just entered Taurus and with Pluto that slowly moves retrograde at 0 degrees Aquarius. Ground the energy in gate 14 by having the capacity or great measure to gather, to serve, to manage with humility and great principles all the resources. Holding vitality and the capacity to create individually. It is the strength to find one's direction, the path in life by making use of one's creative power. The new start at gate 8 deploys individuality for the benefit of the whole. What are the gifts I can bring to the table? Contribution. In need to be shared or to be put to good use? Be sincere. Serve in style. Respect the order. And be a vessel of harmonious timing of creative contributions. Okay, then there are 4 images of 4 astrological charts. There are 4 dates. The first one is May 19, 2023, September the 1st, 1939, 29th of December of 1855, and 15th of May of 1771. Looking at previous times, some cycles seem to repeat themselves every 84 years. A full Uranus cycle. On May 19 of 2023, September 1st, 1939, December 29, 1854, and May 15, 1771. I can't help to notice one common thread with all the dates and events involving Crimea, with occupations, liberations, with its geographic strategic value from the Greeks, the Romans, the Byzantines, to the Ottomans, the Mongols, the Russian, the Soviet Union, and now Ukraine. Crimea was also called the Tauric Peninsula. It has been at the boundary between the classical antiquity center on the Mediterranean Sea and the Caspian Steppe. Look at all the charts. The repeating themes are mind-blowing. At times aligned and at times with opposing perspectives. Will humans ever integrate the lessons of the past? Look at Uranus in Taurus and the lunar nodes in either axis. Mars, Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn play an important roles at the end of the cardinal signs or at the beginning of the fixed signs. T-squares, oppositions. Will this time be different? Influencers, fake gurus, Uranus and the Sun at gate 23, innovations and new terrains as a volunteer at the Bitcoin conference next week. Yay! To influence from the late 14th century, an astrological term that means streaming ethereal power from the stars when in certain positions acting upon character or destiny of man. Interestingly, the celestial bodies are not here to hold power over us, but rather to validate whether we are abiding by our own geometry and vibrating with what is. The stars guide us, yet they have no influence, although the etymology of the word per se implies an outside force from above that has power over us. In this day and age, I will say, if you're aligned with the stardust of your crystal, the same that connects your spirit to mine and the rest of the universe, if you're in alignment and once you dance within your frequency, your destiny is not influenced but lived in sovereignty. At this juncture, while Jupiter squares Pluto, it is the right time to question all teachers, all gurus, and dogma. I am not looking for followers or any guru position. I am free to roam to speak up, and having that responsibility is not in my design. I'm just open to connections, and I will certainly connect with those that are aware of their relationship to their freedom. It requires proof of work. Uranus rumbles and just entered exogram and gate 23 on May the 9th. Another individual gate. This time, when adornments become excessive, beauty falls away. Starting from the bottom, the decay erodes the foundation. Uranus is traveling around Taurus yet for another few years. Since 2018, it has been through gates 3, 27, 24, 2, now 23, and it will end at gate 8. All individual gates but gate 27, where the North Node is now. Nurture your needs. We may lose our hats or the rug is about to be pulled from under our feet. Take it literally or metaphorically. Taurus is about resources. Rolling eyes emoji. Educating myself in new realms keeps my vitality ongoing. The joy of being a volunteer for the upcoming Bitcoin conference in Miami Beach is difficult to convey. I will only say this. Until now, I barely did any other volunteer work at this scale, apart from some karma yoga at the Sivananda Center back in New York City. This time I feel a similar energy as I felt at the beginning of the 90s when the internet was a baby and very few jumped in, as I did. I am genuinely curious, and having Mars in Aries ruling my third house, I'm ready to explore what it takes. Meeting and befriending young folk has inspired me tremendously. Why am I in awe of a younger generation that does not have the time to whine, but has not spared a moment in their lives to build and construct a brighter future? Because proof of work pays with freedom and joy. Just listen to Jack Mallers, who created Strike, a popular non-fee app that users can use to quickly make and receive payments over Bitcoin's Lightning Network. In this video that I'm sharing, he states that both Bitcoin and the internet are public utilities that can be exchanged as words and concepts. One holds decentralized peer-to-peer information, and the other peer-to-peer payments or store value. At 59 years old, I keep myself young because I'm not getting too cozy with the personas I needed to embody during the past periods. At the time, I had no other tools to embrace my uniqueness for fear of exclusion and abandonment. At this point, I have tested diverse outcomes, and the one that I have chosen is close to my last name. To be brave means to know that the unknown is better than the familiarity of corrupt ways. The natal position of Pluto in anyone's chart by sign describes the generational vibration that a person comes in with, and by the house placement in the chart will show as the specific pattern associated with what implies an individual journey of fulfilling an evolutionary path. Pluto's placement is where the person is the least powerful. The lesson is to merge with the fear of powerlessness through integrating its polarity point. As part of the Pluto and Virgo generation that is conjuncting Uranus, in my case, my Pluto falls in the 8th house while my Uranus in my 7th. There is a thing about codependencies and willingness to learn to discern how to merge in relationships. So I transform and liberate from these addictive behaviors and both surrender and embrace a path of self-reliance. This is both empowering and soulful. I also have found that working with the generation of Pluto in Sagittarius, these are the peeps that are born between 1996 and 2009, is bringing me a great and accelerated potential of maturation. As I integrate the specific traumatic memories of lives lived before and remind each other of the gifts we are unveiling by serving a life full of meaning. Their path is to understand themselves through seeking knowledge and embracing their own intuitive connection with larger cosmic forces and higher spiritual states. The previous generation of Pluto in Scorpio, 1983 through 1996, is extremely important at the moment, as many have already started to confront their deep fears, embracing and surrendering to their path via plant medicine and deep psychological confrontations, reaching higher states of consciousness that support them by liberating through self-inquiry and integrating their sense of value. Uranus, as the keeper of all time memory and trauma, frees us from any patterns that are in restriction and way too conditioned. As it reaches 19 degrees in Taurus, having traveled 2/3 of the journey of the sign of what we value in material ways, I would say that all materiality has yet to be shifted. Do you know the card game 52 Pickup? I'm going to read what it says. 52 Pickup card is a humorous prank which consists only of picking up a scattered deck of playing cards. This is typically played as a practical joke where the dealer creates a false impression that a legitimate game will be played, when then simply throws the entire deck into the air, so the cards land strewn on the floor and instructs other players to pick them up. Well, if you have not gone through a deep change since 2018 and you're still resisting some things, Uranus at gate 23 is about splitting apart the mountain from the earth. Would that be your savings, your invested time? Remember, time is money. Your hard-earned money while the governments are gambling with it, promising a retirement full of beautiful beaches. Look at the picture that I just put here. It's a picture of the 50s that shows a couple nearby the sea, and they're talking about savings. Okay, the invitation to connect to your paradise is within. No promises from the outside. Those are bargains. Remember, there is no free lunch. Take a look at what you own, what is necessary, what makes you feel safe, and make 3 piles that you can divide in ways that you can feel comfortable with. I will say no more. Take care of your needs. The lunar nodes are still in gate 27. Mercury is also there, and Jupiter will join very soon. No nourishment, no sustainable living, no energy that can save any clan. Be selfish. That means focus on your needs. Be conscious of the lowest frequency in the energy centers. Be aware of the highest too. No wonder these days I wear a red hat, red boots, red bag. The vibration is calling. For the last 18 months, I've been focused not on hoarding, but on having a graceful relationship with materiality, studying money, understanding markets. Spirit is guiding me. There is only one way, and it's inward. Zhuangzi was walking on a mountain when he saw a great tree with huge branches and luxuriant foliage. A woodcutter was resting by its side, but he would not touch it, and when asked the reason, said that it was of no use for anything. Zhuangzi then said to his disciples, "This tree, because its wood is good for nothing, will succeed in living out its natural term of years." Having left the mountain, the master lodged in the house of an old friend who was glad to see him, and ordered his waiting lad to kill a goose and boil it. The lad said, "One of our geese can cackle, and the other one cannot. Which of them shall I kill?" The host said, "Kill the one who cannot cackle." Next day, his disciples asked Zhuangzi, saying, "Yesterday the tree on the mountain you said would live out its years because of the uselessness of its wood, and now our host goose has died because of its want of power to cackle. Which of these conditions, master, would you prefer to be in?" Zhuangzi laughed and said, "If I said that, I would prefer to be in a position between being fit to be useful and wanting that fitness. That would seem to be the right position. But it would not be so, for it would not put me beyond being involved in trouble. Whereas one who takes his seat on the Tao and its attributes, and there finds his ease and enjoyment, is not exposed to such a contingency. He is above the reach both of praise and of detraction. Now he mounts aloft like a dragon. Now he keeps beneath like a snake. He is transformed with the changing character of the time, and he is not willing to addict himself to any one thing. Now in a high position and now in a low. He is in harmony with all his surroundings. He enjoys himself at ease with the author of all things. He treats things as things, and it is not a thing to them, where it in his liability to be involved in trouble. This was the method of Sheng Nong and Wan Ji, as those who occupy themselves with the qualities of things and with the teaching and practice of the human relations. It is not so with them. Union brings on separation, success overthrown, sharp corners, the use of the file, honor, critical remarks, active exertion, failure, wisdom, scheming, inferiority, being despised. Where is the possibility of unchangeableness in any of these conditions? Remember this, my disciples. Let your abode be here in the Tao and its attributes. Zhuangzi, the tree on the mountain. One of my favorite stories from the Tao. Social media is full of fools, wannabes with false promises of reels and fake quick enlightenment tricks. Those who know ain't flaunting it, that is for sure. Many certifications flying around the digital realm. For your information, these people charging for them learned everything via YouTube. So is that your highest authority? A piece of paper that validates you? That, my friend, ain't knowledge. That is the road of the influencer. Show me what you got once you're naked. And I might engage. Take off your mask. Own your truth. Be bold. These beautiful 6 images read solid objects of the 16th century geometric and perspective drawings. This sequence of increasingly complex geometrical figures and perspective drawings collected in the 16th century watercolor manuscript and preserved at the Herzog August Bibliothek in Wolfenbüttel comes with no author's note, editor's preface on running commentary. We know very little about its origins. All we have are shapes and color with the occasional totem, eagle, rooster, and even a puddle holding something like a pinwheel, dwarfed by the immensity of lines and angles. Geometry from Pythagoras to Plato, calculations, epistemology, empiricism, human design, the G-center, and the illusion of the matrix. Geometria, measurement of earth and land. Geometry from G, earth, land, see Gaia, and metria, measuring off. It's a beautiful image from Ptolemy. It's a geocentric conception of the universe. You just have to see it. It's very beautiful. Notice the distance of the bodies to the center of the earth on the left and the times of revolution in years to the right. The outermost text says, the heavenly empire, the dwelling of God and all of the elect. Accepting Aristotle's idea that the sun and the planets revolve around the spherical earth, a geocentric view, Ptolemy developed this idea through observation and mathematical detail. In doing so, he rejected the hypothesis of Aristarchus of Samos, who came to Alexandria about 350 years before Ptolemy was born. Aristarchus claimed that the earth revolves around the sun, but he couldn't produce any evidence to back it up. Ptolemy saw this view as geocentric. Then Kepler, via Copernicus and Galileo, shifted to the heliocentric perspective between the 1400s and the 1600s. Pythagoras' followers state that all things owe their relationship to numbers. This creed gives mathematics absolute authority in the understanding of the nature of reality. Plato had an analogous view, often inspiring other philosophers to write ecstatically about geometry as one of the fourth of the quadrivium or four ways, which role was key to the understanding and interpretation of the universe. Therefore, ancient geometry was associated with the sublime, with the absolute, to complement its earthy origins and its reputation as the exemplar of precise reasoning. I subscribe to this notion, as many artists in the 1910s also implemented these notions, albeit hidden. When the Greeks used geometry as calculation, they geometrized the heavens, calculating the speed of rotation of the celestial bodies in these hypothetic circles from observed motions, now known as gravitational orbits that measure the frequency and the ratio between them. In the Timaeus, Plato describes a universe that is living in and of itself. For example, the world soul, which is governed by the fundamental order. For example, Pythagoras' cosmos. The universal order that Plato speaks of is akin to eternal being, but yet is in motion, and it is governed by time, which in turn is governed by numbers and basic mathematical principles. This concept of time is association with numbers, and the movement of the heavenly bodies themselves is the core characteristic of the world soul, the universe, and is one of the key attributes of the cosmos itself. Epistemology delineates what we think, a conjunction of two fundamental theories, empiricism and rationalism. When confronted in between, prompts to inquiry and thesis and theories. Empiricism and experimentation is a theory that knowledge is felt and applied. It relies on experience as the source of know-how. Specifically, empiricism is the epistemological theory that genuine information about the world must be acquired by a posteriori means so that nothing can be thought without first being sensed. What do I refer to as my geometry? Well, as having the capacity to experiment with awareness about the nature of my reality, having the curiosity and the capacity to question and learn by observation. This is close to living in the uniqueness of expression, aligning with the frequency that vibrates with my design, to acknowledge the movement is leading to evolution, and at times I have to surrender to the current of life. Living correctly and applying my authority is already 70% of the way. Integrating both yin and yang at the magnetic monopole gives me a direction to orient my design according to the position that needs to be expressed. In human design, the core of what makes this possible is the G center. If you see the gates that there are at the cardinals and ordinals of the circle, they divide the circle in 8, an octave. And the gates are based on the 64 hexagrams, 8 times 8, that are located at 0, 45, 90, 135, 180, 235, 270, and 315 degrees, and are found in the chart at 0 Aries, 15 Taurus, 0 Cancer, 15 Leo, 0 Libra, 15 Scorpio, 0 Capricorn, and 15 Aquarius. The gates 10, 15, 46, 25 are part of the cardinals. 0, 9, 180, 270 angles, and the gate 7, 13, 2 and 1 are part of the ordinals, or 45, 135, 235, 315 axis. This is the compass, so to speak. The monopole holds together the illusion of how it feels as separate and dual nature. It translates as the Trinity. The synthesis integrates the duality. It holds it together as the illusion of the matrix. The fundamental understanding is that knowing your design implies that you have to arrive to the base to see and know your singularity. Having traveled through the incarnation cross, the gates, the lines, the color, the tone, and the base, all these are fractions of time. Human design shows your uniqueness to the second. Therefore, understanding the difference between your vessel and your personality, following your strategy and authority, is of the essence. Human design is not about knowing all the definitions, but rather understanding the practice of relating to your own observation. Time is a cycle, space is the square, time is frequency, and space is vibration. I will meet you between the ranges. I show a couple of images more. So human design, Ray mandala, you can see the hexagrams, And then I leave you a beautiful image of the four guardians of heavens are the four royal stars and are associated with the four major archangels: Gabriel, Michael, Uriel, and Raphael. Aldebaran, the alpha of the Taurus constellation, the Persian name Tasheter, is a 10 degrees Gemini and was the guardian of the eastern sky, and as it predates the vernal equinox. Regulus, alpha of the Leo constellation, the Persian name is Venant, at 0 Virgo degrees, was the guardian of the northern sky, as it pre-announces the summer solstice. Antares, the alpha of the Scorpio constellation, is the Persian name of Satevis, is at 10 degrees Sag, was the guardian of the western sky, as it predates the autumn equinox. Folmoho, alpha of the constellation Pisces Australis, the Persian name is Haftorang or Hashtorang, is at 3 degrees 52 Pisces, where my Saturn is, was the guardian of the southern sky, as it pre-announces the winter solstice. That which changed me. To embark on a new perspective was to stand in another people's shoes, to listen to other people's views, to move away from the space of comfort, and to inquire beyond my safety zone. That is basically what changed me. The judgment ceased, the inner critic had a break. I have learned so much in the last years, and if I tell you that compassion levels rose, that I live in a state of grace and gratitude, that I no longer have to prove anything, what changed? My point of view was so stuck and radical, but unmovable. Jupiter in Taurus near the Sun and Jupiter on my third house have been very opinionated and fixed, unmovable, and at times extremely arrogant, and by that I imply absolutely ignorant. To admit that there could be any other way, that is arrogant. And it is also ignoring that there could be another point of view. When I moved to Florida, we were in the middle of the lockdown. I immersed myself in listening to new ideas, and I discovered new ways of engaging. In future articles, I will share what it changed me. For now, I'm just an artist expressing myself through metaphors. This was long, my friends, and I don't think that next week I'm going to be able to write an article because I'm going to be, as I said before, volunteering at the conference. So there you go. You have 2 weeks to read this. Have a great one. You know what? I'm just going to say one thing. Life is beautiful. Make the best of it. Ciao, ciao. A single note from the perfect whole of life's eternal plan must be in tune. We must strike the key and forever discord ban. So the perfect life in harmony, vibrating from the inner soul to the outermost, a melody, sweet tune of nature's roll, expressed throughout in perfect unity as we leave earth's faulty span. Rise up, ye gods of infinity, and evolve a perfect man. Let him delve into nature's secrets, sing the music of the heart, tune his life to fit her methods, be of nature's soul some part. Ellen T. Ritchie.